Yeah, we should have audio here, so we should be okay now. Sorry about that. So audio should be okay. So let me know if you guys can hear me. It should be here now. Let me switch this. Still trying to catch up from being in New York, so I'm a little behind. I apologize about that. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah, so like I said, I'm a little bit behind. Just flew in from New York this morning. But I was thinking about like canceling Strategy Sunday, but I decided to go for it and do it. So I'm a little tired. We had a great time in New York. We learned a lot. A lot of people changed lives, so that's always a good point. We did a lot of great things in New York. If you were in New York, I want to hear you dropped 100% sign in the chat, and let me know how you felt about New York. We had about 200 people in the room, about 500 on virtual. We put that together in about a month. We dropped one of the biggest plays we ever dropped. So it was a great event. A lot of people had a lot of fun. They learned a lot, and we grew a lot. So like I said, I appreciate all you guys coming out, and I appreciate, sharing that experience with me. But yeah, so I just want to talk a little bit. It's not going to be too long today, but I thought I would hit some bullet points out there, right? Before we start, like I said, is that the CNC, like I promised, goes up to $97 tonight. So if you're interested in the CNC, click the link in the bio or DM me the word CNC, and I'll get you the link for $67, because the CNC is a 5-star community that provides instructions, accountability. We drop stock picks, we drop plays. We made a lot of money over the years. We've changed lives. People in the CNC came to the event for free. So we do a lot of great things. It's a great value. So if you're interested in joining the CNC, and we're going to drop that ChatGPT class in the CNC next week, because I told you guys 6 months I'll drop it in. So we're going to drop it in next week. So like I said, if you're interested in the CNC, go to jointhecnc.com or DM me the word CNC, and I'll get you that link. So let's move on. So one of the biggest things I want to talk about tonight. Yeah, we're going to do it. The next event, Kevin, will be 2 days. Somebody said the next event has to be a 2-day function. We're going to do a 2-day event in Miami next month. So it will be 2 days, the next event. Make sure we have a lot of fun over the 2 days, because we had a lot of fun at that event. But the next CNC event will be 2 days. But I want to move on and talk about some things that's happening in this market right now, right? So one of the biggest thing right now is that the SEC is going after Coinbase, and they're going after a bunch of stocks that they deem securities. So that's a pretty big deal out there, right? And I'm going to tell you this, is that this is what I think is happening right now. Like the SEC has filed a lawsuit against 2 major cryptocurrency exchanges, Binance and Coinbase. And they did it all of a sudden. They just went after them, right? And it had an impact, and it will have a future impact on cryptocurrencies. But the thing that surprised me most, and I'm going to tell you this, is that now, before we start, I want to break down what the SEC is, because a lot of people get confused about what the SEC is. The SEC is a civil organization. It can't go after you criminally. Now, they can refer you to the FBI or whatever to another criminal organization, but they can't go to the most the SEC can do is regulate you or sue you, right? Then you owe them some money or give you some fees. They can't really arrest anybody, right? But they can refer you to the FBI if you're doing criminal activities. You can get into a lot of trouble like that. But the SEC is mostly civil. It's almost all civil, right? So the SEC filed 2 lawsuits against cryptocurrency exchanges, Binance and Coinbase, right? So the thing about this is that if you would have done this back in 1918, crypto would have dropped 30%, just on the news that the SEC was doing it. This time it didn't go down that much. It's like 8%. It's single digits. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? So it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's not bad at all. So like I said, is that what I believe is happening is that the SEC all of a sudden just went hard after cryptos out of nowhere, right? So what I think is happening is that the SEC knows they're about to lose that XRP, the lawsuit. They're pretty sure they're about to lose it. So in order to save face, they have to find some other people to go after. It's almost like, remember back in the day somebody would get beat up and everybody would be picking on them. And then they would just find the next person in line, whoever said something. I remember I played basketball one time, and it was this dude, right? And it reminds me of that story. We were playing basketball back at Austin Peay State University, where I went to school at, right? So one dude's getting killed in basketball. Dude's killing him, man. Everybody's on the sidelines making fun of him, man. You can't guard this dude, you garbage or whatever like that. And like he was real quiet because everybody was like, talking trash to him, bigger, stronger people he was afraid of. So one dude came up to him and said, hey guys, a little dude, that really wasn't aggressive. Hey guys, let's just play basketball and shut up. This dude went across the court, passed by all the dudes that was picking on him, calling him garbage, all this stuff, and punched the soft dude in the face. like, why would he do that? Like all the people that was calling his mama garbage, him garbage, all in his face. For the whole 20 minutes we was playing basketball, he didn't say nothing to them. One dude said, hey guys, let's just play basketball and be quiet. He said, what'd you say? And ran across the court and punched that dude in the face. A dude that he knew wouldn't hit back. That reminds me of what the SEC is doing right now, right? So it takes a lot of fun. I mean, it takes a lot of, it's very weird that the SEC would do this. And like I said, it's not weird if you think about it, is that they're about to lose the lawsuit. They're about to lose the lawsuit. So that's the reason why they're going through this. So they're just trying, like that guy, trying to find somebody to punch to save face. And like I said, I strongly believe that XRP is going to make a lot of people a lot of money over the next few months. Right? So let me catch up here. Refresh filters. All right, let's move on, right? So we talked about the XRP website. We're going to talk about the semiconductor wars, right? So another thing I want to talk about is it's a stock out there right now that I think is artificially too low, and it's due to these semiconductor wars, right? Is that I'm gonna reiterate it? Is that over the next few years, semiconductors are going to be similar to oil. There's going to be fights. There may even be wars over them. Now, people say semiconductors. Why would people have a war over those? Is because it powers AI. And AI right now, that's something else. Did you know, and this is something I read an article earlier today on, did you know that the number one people in the world that's using AI to trade stocks is members of Congress? And then look it up. The members of Congress are investing in and taking advice from AI-powered brokerages more than anybody else on the face of the planet. This is what your government is doing for you. And like I said, is that, and I don't get political that much, but I'm going to get a little political now on both sides. Right? Is that people always say, oh, my side would never do that. I'm a Republican. Oh, or my side, we're the good guys. I'm a liberal, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm a conservative. We're good people. They all tricking you. All of them. That's what all of this stuff is for. And I'm going to say this, and people may get mad, unfollow me or whatever, is that if I want to control a population, you know what I do? I say, hey, man, I give them, if I want to control somebody, I really want them to, we both got, I really just want a certain goal, right? What I would do is I remove all choices and give them the illusion of choice and say, here's your two choices you can have. You can have this side or this side. It's up to you, though. I mean, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do, but really both of the choices are the same. And now you won't fight back. You won't revolt. You won't be angry because they've given you the illusion of choice. So you pick your side, Republican or Democrat, when they're both the same choice. And you think that you're empowered. I really, I made a good choice. I would never do what those other guys are doing, but you're just on the same, really they're just controlling you by limiting all other choices. Why do you think there's only two parties? Shouldn't there be like 5 parties? Why would there only be 2? After all these years, there's only 2 parties. Why? It's because they're controlling you. But that's another subject, right? Is that the government is pumping money out of the stock market at a ridiculous rate. And they're using AI to do it, right? So that's the reason why they want to control AI. That's one of the reasons they want to control it. They want to make sure and it's also military uses a lot of things, but the semiconductor wars are becoming they have people right now in the military training to fight China right now because they feel like the United States and China may come to blows over Taiwan, which is the #1 place in the world that makes semiconductor and processor chips, right? NVIDIA is connected to China. There's another company I'm going to talk about in a little bit that may be a good play that's also connected to China, but in a negative way. So like I said, is that we got to watch this closely. Chips will eventually be just like oil. So there's a company out there, right? Is that China actually banned this company from selling chips in their country, right? So, and it caused the stock to drop down. But because we're in these semiconductor wars over the next 2 years, that company has to come back. The value has to increase because we're at a huge chip demand all over the world, right? So I'm not saying this is a big, easy win. We're not going to just all of a sudden win on this like we did with NVIDIA, like we did with so many other plays that I dropped in the past. But this is more of a long-term play, a play to kind of like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Can't have it all in NVIDIA. You want to really invest in real estate. Invest in AI, but you don't want to, you want to move it around in different stocks. And that stock out there is Micron. Micron Technology has been in a big pullback lately, but it could drop farther over the next few months. But I think long-term, because of the chip shortages, the chip wars, and the increasing need of chips in AI and the upcoming quantum computer revolution that's happening right before our eyes, chips are going to be more important than any other asset on earth. So any company, the top 5 companies, IBM, Micron, NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, those 5 companies are going to be immensely valuable over the next 5 years. They're going to be like Exxon and all those, what is the other one? Oil Mobile or something. I forgot what the name of it was. But all the big companies in the night, you look back in the 90s, early 2000s, those companies dominated the landscape. That's how you went to Iraq. One of the reasons was to control the oil flow. Now, in the future, that's going to be about processors and semiconductors. Right? That's what the new wars are going to be about. And these companies when we were in the war with Iraq, what companies made the most profit? It was the oil companies. So what's going to make a lot of profit in the future is the semiconductor company. Now, I'm not advocating war, but it's not wrong to see something coming on the horizon and prepare for it. Now, let's say, for example, you see, something bad about to happen on the horizon, you got to prepare yourself for it. It's not like you can't stop it. You can't stop it from happening, but what you can do is prepare yourself, prepare your future, and prepare your kids' futures for what's coming on the horizon. You see it coming, so you got to prepare for it. So next thing I want to talk about is this massive inflation that we're going after, right? It's a lot of inflation that's happening in this world, and I want to break it down a little bit. So, but before we start, remember, we got the CNC is $67 today. It's going to go up to $97 tomorrow morning. I've kept it down as long as I can, but it's too much value. We're making too much money in the CNC. If you're in the CNC, you're making money. Drop the money bags right now in both YouTube and Instagram. Let me go ahead and pin this dude. But like I said, in that NVIDIA play a few months ago, some of the people in the CNC made 100 times their money. That means every 1,000 you put in, you got 100,000 back. That's how ridiculous that play was. And now, we all know, I'm not lying, not making stuff up, because the proof's right there. I said it before it happened. We can show screenshots of thousands of people, even outside the CNC, that changed their lives at that play. And this is not the first time. This is like the 6th, 7th, 8th time over the last 3 years that we've made plays of that caliber. So let's move on. So next thing I want to talk about is inflation and I bonds, right? We're in a massive inflationary period. There's a bunch of reasons for that. One reason is, the government. Another reason is that they put out a lot of money in the pandemic. And I remember arguing with people during the pandemic that the government had us, another way they had us tricked, right, is that both sides said this too. Whenever they really want something, both sides will agree. So that's how you know that there's something going on there. But I remember I was arguing with people online, and the government put out they said that there was a concept called transitory inflation, which I never heard of before. And they said that I think they just invented it during that time. It may have been a small term, but they invented a lot of stuff, and that's just one of the things. And they said it wouldn't be that much inflation of them printing out those billions and billions of dollars during the pandemic. And I argue with people. I said that goes against just basic math, the history of money. It goes against a lot of things. There's almost no way that would happen. And people was arguing me, calling me stupid, because the government told them that it wouldn't be no inflation. It was probably sending me links of government saying stuff. I mean, you can't believe what everybody tells you. Everybody has the potential to lie to you. Everybody has the potential. Everybody does. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. It doesn't matter who's saying it. You can't have 100% trust in nobody, even me. Like I tell people all the time, it's like some people out there that are financial influencers or business influencers, and they tell you don't listen to nobody but me. Now, anybody that tells you that, I would be I'm telling you, it's a 99% chance you're being scammed. That's what cults say. Cults use the same strategy to keep you away from the truth. You know who else does that? Abusive relationships do that. They tell you don't listen to nobody but me. Don't go nowhere with nobody but me. Cut you off from all your friends, your family, and everything, so that you're isolated and they have complete control over you. And insecure people do that. Now, I'll tell you right now, everything I'm talking about on Strategy Sunday, go do your own research. Go listen to some other people out there. Go to YouTube, listen to some other influencers. Now, they're going to be wrong, I'll tell you that. A lot of them will be, but you can listen to them because I want you to see that they're wrong, right? And it's it's okay with that. So let's move on. So like I said, there's a way that the government actually gave us to get out of. The government's not all bad, I'm saying we do need the government. I'm not like against the government. I don't want a government at all, anarchy. But the government gives us a way out of inflation. It's called I bonds. I bonds, the rates rise as inflation goes up. They go down as inflation goes down. So each American could put up to $10,000 into these bonds. And these bonds protect your money against inflation. So it works like, it's not exact like this. It basically works like this. Whatever the inflation rate is, that's how much money return you get on your bond, roughly, right? So your money, your value, your $10,000 remains the same over that year. So the average American that does provide some kind of hedge against inflation over a year or 2 year period. So I would encourage everybody, like I'm not a financial advisor, but I would encourage everybody to take a look at I bonds because it's a way to safeguard a lot of your money against inflation, right? And like I said, savings accounts, all this stuff, CDs, they don't give you the rates are not as high as I bonds right now. But like the restriction is you can only put in $10,000. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that if you can. So now, I want to talk a little bit about this bull market and the stock market that's coming up. So let's talk a little bit about this stock market, bull market, right? So there's a potential bull market coming in the stocks, right? And there's a lot of indicators that are flashing, a lot of them on different people's radars that are saying that a bull market is coming. I strongly believe that a bull market is on its way. And what always gets me not mad, but it kind of like hurts me, because I want to see people win. I want to see people successful. That's one of the reasons I do what I do, is I really, really want to see people win. And sometimes it's very difficult because people, it's almost like they don't want to win. Like, you give them all the resources. You try to make sure they have everything available. And people still don't want to win. They rather dance and joke around. And, you know, they'll say they want to win, but then they don't actually put in the small amount of work that it takes to win. And it kind of saddens me. I'm not a person who doesn't like fun. But when you see people wasting their lives away, dancing, giggling, and, you know, watching all kind of anything that's on TV they can watch, spending the entire day in front of TV. I saw a cartoon earlier with my kids. It was called Soul. And in this movie, it's a Pixar Disney movie. This dude looks at after he dies unexpectedly, like he ends up going to like the afterlife or something. Then he looks at all the scenes of his life. And one scene, he's eating in a restaurant. The other scene, he's watching TV. The other scene, his whole life, he realized he didn't do nothing. He did nothing with his entire life. And then he came to the realization and came back even stronger, right? But a lot of people live their whole lives like that. You know, just live their entire lives just doing nothing. When you got all, like, people would, you know what how astronomical the chances that you would be alive are? Just life is precious. God has given you talents. Whoever you believe in, I believe in God, whoever you believe in has given you immense talents to do great things in this life. He's given you a brain that's smarter than many people on this earth. You got your body, you got your legs, you got your arms, you can move about. A lot of people got their youth. You got your strength. And I beg you, and I'm serious, please, some of you, please execute on some of this stuff we're talking about. Create that business. Invest in stocks. Grow. Create generational wealth for your kids, your family, everybody around you. Learn so that you can pass that on and grow your own communities. Grow your own family, grow your own people. Stop wasting your time on silliness. And I'm sorry to say that. And it's okay to be funny. If anybody around me, I joke and laugh all the time. But don't spend your entire life like that. Right? We got a bull market ahead coming in the stock market. Another chance for people to make a lot of money. Another shot for people that missed the pandemic to do it now. You got 6 months to learn. The next bull market, we're going to look on my lives, and it's going to be another 4,000 or 5,000 people in here going crazy at the last minute, thinking they can jump on and make a bunch of money. It's too late. You're putting yourself at immense risk doing it like that. Now it's easy. The plane's on the ground, right? But once the jet's in the sky, it's too late. You can't jump in at the last minute hoping you can learn on the fly. That's how you end up getting stolen from, getting conned, and just losing your money to high-risk investments. That's how that happens. The con artists, the scams, everybody comes out like roaches when you turn the lights off. That's when they come out to scam people who waited to the last minute. Those people give their money to anybody because they're panicky and scared. That's how they get got. It's because of that last minute. They spent the 6 months prior giggling, laughing, dancing, whatever they got to do. Then once the time comes, they end up getting scammed big time. All right. So bull market's coming. Like I said, we need to prepare for what's coming. There's a lot of things. Join the CNC. If you can't do that, you got YouTube. Like I'm saying, CNC is not the only option. That's just the most efficient option, the most successful option. But there's YouTube. There's all kind of articles. Go down to the library and take out some books for free. There's a lot of ways that you can jump on top of this. So The last thing I want to talk about here before we go is this last stock that I think is going to do well. Now, if anybody know my history, I never liked Mark Zuckerberg, really, up until about a year ago. And like I said, well, I'm not nobody to dislike Mark Zuckerberg, but I do dislike him, so he's a billionaire. I'm just a lonely, lowly millionaire. He's way more bigger, more successful, has more money, all this stuff than me. But I still have a right to like and dislike whoever I want, right? So I didn't like him because I really followed the career of Steve Jobs ever since I was a kid. That was before it was even popular. In the 90s, in the 80s, I was following Steve Jobs. And he was an inspiration to me. And Bill Gates also, because Bill Gates changed the game in software. He's one of the first people ever in the world to license software as opposed to just selling it outright, which made him a billionaire and changed the entire way that we receive and sell software. So I've always looked up to those guys. So Mark Zuckerberg came around. I just felt like he got lucky with Facebook, which a lot of people get lucky, and there's nothing wrong with luck, but he never really created nothing up until he always copied. Even that verification thing, he copied it from Twitter. Everything he's ever done is copied. Instagram he bought, then he just copied the features. The first thing he actually truly is on the forefront of is the metaverse. And that's why I changed my opinion of him. When I saw him take a big step out in front of everybody, take a monetary step out, and also a public step out, I really started respecting him a little bit more because at least he's trying to change that history that he's had, right, and trying to be an innovator. So he is like I said, I still believe the metaverse is gonna sneak up on us. The metaverse is not over. I'm telling you, it's not over. Just like the internet wasn't over in 2000 when they told all the news articles said the internet was a fad that was failing. The media don't know. They don't know what's going on. They're completely oblivious to how things work. And there's nothing wrong. That's their job. They're journalists. They're not technologists or stock. They're none of that. They're just journalists, right? And they provide us with information. But when they start inserting their opinions, they're normally wrong. They thought the internet was a fad. They thought camera phones were a fad. There's a long history of that. Fax machines they thought were a fad. All of these things, these historical innovations, they always thought was a fad. But like I said, is that I think Meta Platforms is the next company to reach $1 trillion, market cap. That's probably the next one. I think they're going to do it with AI chats. They're going to do it with the AI tools they're working on. They've hired some of the best people in the world to work on these technologies over the last 3 months. They're putting considerable investments into this. So I still think Meta is going to be the next $1 trillion company. And also, the last thing I want to talk about, and Mark Zuckerberg actually, with the Apple's headset that came out, is that's another thing. I want to talk about that for a second. Apple dropped the headset, the AR headset, right? Which is not, it's not like Oculus, which is immersive. It's an augmented reality. So the icons and the graphics will be laid on top of your everyday, what you see, right? Now, they told us for a year or maybe even 2 years that the metaverse was a joke. It was a trend. It was funny. It was laughing. Now, remember I told you about this? And this is one of the most important lessons I hope you walk away with. Do you remember Communist Manifesto is a good book? Yeah, it's a pretty good book. I'm not a communist, but I read the book when I was in college. Somebody wrote that on the chat. So the last thing I want to talk about, like I said, is the AR headset with Apple. Now, they told us for a year, maybe even 2 years, that this metaverse was silly. It was stupid. It's a trend that nobody wants. How many articles have you seen like that? Facebook took a loss on Meta. Oh, the stock's dropping because Meta was a joke and he's stupid. All these things. And then Apple releases an AR headset. They spend billions and billions of dollars in researching. Now, remember I told you that during accumulation phase, there's conflicting reports. Didn't I tell you that? The market cycle has 4 phases: accumulation, markup, distribution, markdown. Then it starts over back at accumulation. Didn't I tell you that there's conflicting reports out there? The media will tell you one thing, but what the corporations are doing are completely different. Now, if the metaverse was stupid and it was a trend and it was just something that it was silly, why would Apple spend billions of dollars with the best engineers, the best market researchers, the best people on earth to create this headset? Because they know what's coming. The media either they don't know or they're used as a tool to keep you down. One or the other. I'm not going to say which one. They don't want you on this stuff. They want you quiet. They want you to be silly, dancing, salsa, all whatever you want to do. Just quiet and just to shut up, go dance all night, watch Netflix, and don't bother us while we accumulate this wealth. Spend your whole life like that. While we accumulate wealth, while we build for our futures, while we have the good lives, while we have the best health care, while we have the best we're more comfortable, while we eat the best food, while we have the best vehicles and cars and clothes. And we'll let you suffer. But you're dancing and you're on Netflix. That's the cheap solutions we can give you. So, and the media is used to keep you away from stuff. All of that is all used against you to keep you down. And that's what, like I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with these things, but in moderation. That's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong. I play basketball twice a week. It's exercise though, but I'm watching the finals now. I'm gonna go watch Netflix after this. I'm gonna go order a pizza, eat some Netflix, watch some Netflix, but you have to do it in moderation. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So let's move on. Like I said, the last stock I want to talk about that I think has a lot of potential, I've talked about it before, is Airbnb. As like I said, I think the Airbnb could go up in the next, like I've said it before, the next year, 70% over the next 12 months. I think that there's a shift in travel. Airbnb is capitalized on it. I also got some Airbnbs myself. I think that remote work is going to change the way we see work. And a lot of these people that are in the younger generations are going to start traveling. They've already started to do so. And Airbnb is going to change from a travel company to a short-term rental company. What I mean is like a month or 2 months. And that's how a lot of these younger people are going to want to do. They're going to live 2, 3, 4 months in each location. And they're willing to pay more for all inclusive experience, right? So they get there, they got the food and some of the food and stuff, some of the laundry detergent. They got everything already for them to start living. They live there and they move on to the next. And that's what I think the next trend is. I think Airbnb is positioned is to capitalize on that. It's like no other company on this earth. So I think that Airbnb is going to be a strong company over the next 12 months to add to my portfolio. So like I said, I hope you guys had a great week. I do have I will be releasing, for people who came to the conference, either virtual or in person, we're going to have that video available by middle of next week. We still have to do some editing and we get it out to you. So that's how you'll get it. If you already purchased the virtual, you can do that. But we'll also put a link up there for purchasing this virtual link if you, the recording that happened on Saturday if you're interested. But also remember, join the CNC tonight. This is going to be the last time you're getting it for $67. DM me the word CNC or click the link in my bio and sign up. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to ask any questions. If you're on the YouTube, you can now get the super chat again. So if you want to send me some super chat, I think you can do it. I think I re-enabled it. So yeah, somebody said you called the Airbnb play months ago. Yeah, I did. And I still want calling it now. Where do you sign up for the CNC? You can go to jointhecnc.com, or you can click the link down in YouTube in the description. Let me change that. Somebody said I did three. Somebody said I did 3 outfit changes. You can't speak with the same outfit that you've been walking around in. All right. So like I said, I hope you guys have a great night. I appreciate you joining. Have a great rest.